Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. This is the first of two sessions we're having on Reports Now. And we're hoping that these sessions will give you some additional insight into how you can extract more value from this very powerful reporting software. Today's session is about using the Trending Wizard, which will help you to uncover the trends and relationships within your data that tell a story about your business operations, customer behaviour and market trends. Endeavour have been an official Reports Now partner for around 11 years, and we've been working with the product for a lot longer than that. But we've got the most experienced Reports Now trainers and developers outside the USA, and are the local go-to team for Reports Now licenses, implementation, functional and technical support. Our deep experience and expertise with both JD Edwards and Reports Now means that we can help you build or set up and deliver meaningful reports that draw on the information you're needing. So whether it's finance, distribution, sales, manufacturing, or any other area that's managed by your JD Edwards ERP. But of course, you don't jump on these sessions to hear me talk. So without further ado, I'm just going to pass things over to you, Anne.
All right, thanks, Tasha. I hope you can all now see my DAS screen. Can you?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Right, well, let's get going. So, as Tasha said, this session is all about trending, and it's about getting additional information out of your data, your JD Edwards data especially. And let's start by looking at some aging. We all have to do aging. So here is a list, for example, of open AR, just the open amounts by customer listed like this. And that's very useful to us. And what we could do is we could export this to Excel, and we could go and work out who our late customers are, how much they owe us, and all the rest of it, late payers and so on. Or we could use our Reports Now's Trending Wizard. So if we click, I've right-clicked on the customer, and I go to Trending and click on Aging. And quite simply, I just fill in the blanks. So for each customer, this was populated with customer because that is what I had focused on when I came into the wizard. Between, and let's say, I can use today's date, or I can use a grid column date. I want to use a control panel date. And what that's going to do is create a parameter where I can enter an aging date. And let's age by due dates, for example. With a date difference, I can do age by days, by years, by months. I'll stick to days at this stage. And I'm going to use the open amount. So I'm going to roll up the open amount by my aging period. Here are my buckets down below with ranges. So my first one is from 0 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90. And I can change these as I like. If I want to age it by week, I could go 0 to 7, for example, or and then 8 to 14 and so on. I'll leave them like this at this stage. I can also add more buckets if I want to. And down at the bottom here, I've got a couple of options. The one is to show summaries only. I'm going to leave that ticked. I'll explain why in a minute. Okay. And then override existing groupings. This report has no groupings at the moment, so it wouldn't come into effect. But if there were groupings, it would override them. And we could hide unused columns. So that would hide, in this case, the due date, the invoice date, the document number, and the document type. I don't want to hide those at the moment because I might want to have a look at that detail. So I've unticked the hide unused columns, and I've left the other two clicked. When I click OK, what Reports Now does is it creates these different buckets for me, and it also grouped by customer. Now, because I said show the summaries, it has made this automatically say always group to this level. So that's what that summary indicated. Had I left that blank, it would have been fully expanded like this, my report. And you can see that it's also left these fields because I didn't click that box. So now suddenly I have a much better insight as to what's going on with specific customers. My demo data, in fact, is sitting in, most of it is sitting, because it's Oracle's demo data, it's sitting in 2017. So I'm going to change this date. Do you see that it created this parameter here, this aging date for me? Because I said, let's use a control panel date. So I can change the date here. Let's say 31st of the 12th, 17, and then run the report. And now I can see that actually I've got some current stuff in there, but I've got a lot that's greater than 90 days. And if I click down on it, I can now see exactly what invoices make up that greater than 90 days amount. I can also drill down automatically into the account ledger. That is not a feature of the trending. That is a feature of ReportsNow, where it finds an appropriate drill down, it provides it automatically. You can, I'm sure you all know that you can add your own drill downs, but when it finds an appropriate one, it will add it in any case automatically for you. So let's see, what did it do? It created these different buckets for me for my aging. But if I go into the design calculations, I will see that actually what it's done is it's done all the work that we could have done manually. Perhaps we would have had did we not know about the Trending Wizard. So the first thing it did was it said, it created, of course, our parameter aging date, and then it said, give me the difference in days between the aging date and the due date. So that would have given me 29, whatever the aging days are. And then it said, if that date difference is less than or equal to 30 days, stick it into this column. If it's between 31 and 60 days, stick it into this column. So it created these conditional buckets. So I could, for argument's sake, change this and say, actually, I want to add another bucket. So I might say, if it's actually between, if it's a range from 91 to 120, for example, and I could then copy this and say greater than 120 days. I would obviously want to change this and say between 91 and 120 days. Change the heading, and I would change this to say it's greater than or equal to 121. Save and close, and it will create my additional column. I can then move it around. So as you can see, the Trending Wizard creates the initial calculations for you, and then you can modify them, change them, work it all out as you see fit from there onwards. So that's the aging. You can do this over AR, AP, or anything else you need aging buckets for. You can use the Aging Wizard. Let's have a look at some others. Let's look at this Cross-Tabular one, for example. So on the Cross-Tabular, this one, perhaps you'd like to see which department your customers are spending money in. So again, I've got the open amount here. If one's looking at overall on the customers, you'd probably use the gross amount, but it doesn't really matter for the purpose of our exercise. We can see it clearly here. Again, I'm going to right-click, highlight the customer column and right-click on it. Click on Trending and go to Cross-Tabular. Now, again, it's said for each customer, because that's what we were focused on. We can change that to any of the fields, but we want it to be each customer at this stage. Make distinct columns of, and I'm going to pick this BU column here, business unit column. Make distinct columns of the business unit and roll up again our open amount. As I say, we would usually be looking more at a gross amount in this scenario, but it doesn't really matter. It will show you what's possible at this stage. I'm going to leave that hide unused columns ticked at this stage. And when I click OK here, you will see that what it does is there's my customer, and for each of those business units, it has created a column all the way down, and then it's left the open amount at the end, as because we're using that as well. Okay, but at the other columns, it's hidden them all. Again, if I go to take a look in my calculations, I will find that what it's done is it's added a column for each of the business units. So where the business unit picked up that field and where the business unit is that, click on open amount. Where it's that, select the open amount and put it in there, and so on. So it's created all of these conditional calculations here. And again, because it's created them all as calculations, you can change them to your heart's content as you see fit. Just one thing, and notice that it's again grouped by customer because that was what we asked it to do. For each customer, do this cross-tabulation. Just a point on the cross-tabular, because it's working on the data, you need to run the report in its entirety first, because if there's a business unit that is not in the data that you have, that ReportsNow can see on this report, it's not going to create a column for it because it's using the data from the report. So before you do the trending of the cross-tabular, you need to make sure that you have run the report and you've got a list of all, in this case, business units that you want to display across the way. And if then later on you discover that there's a new business unit that you don't have in here, you would need to go then to the calculations and copy one of these and add in a calculation for the new business unit. So that's just a word of caution there on the cross-tabular. Okay, so now we can see what department, we can see the aging, we can see what department. We might want to see some day trend for some reason. Maybe we want to see who's spending on the 5th of the month, for argument's sake. I don't know why you would want to do that, but you might want to do something like that. Maybe in inventory, you want to see which days are the most, do you make the most sales in or something like that. Again, I'm going to highlight the customer column. No, I'm not. I'm going to highlight, in this case, the business unit column. And I'm going to say, right-click, go to trending, and go to day trend. And I'm going to say, for each business unit, show day columns for the due date. It would be any date. Maybe it's the inventory date if you're working with inventory. And I'll roll up the open amount. Surprise, surprise. If I can find it. Here it is, the open amount. And I will show summaries only. Now, when I do this, and I click OK, what it does is it creates me one bucket for each day of the month, so through to the 31st. So this particular one, and all the detail, of course, is in here always, because I said show me the summaries only, it's, again, summarizing at this level. Now, the thing to note here is that if you did not pick a specific period and fiscal year, then you are going to get all the firsts of the month. So it could be the 1st of January, 1st of February, 1st of March, 1st of April. They will all come in here. So this particular trending really mostly will be over a specific period. So if I go into design and calculations, you will see how it's done it. And basically, all it's done is it's used this calculation, a day of month calculation. So it's picked up the day of the month in the due date field, and then it's used that in all these conditional calculations. Day of the month is 1, then populate if it's 2, then populate, etc., all the way up to 31. So that's the day trend calculation. trending. Now, in Australia especially, we tend not to have, one or two of you do have a calendar year as your fiscal year, but generally we tend to have a fiscal year that starts in starts in July. That's the norm here. There are some exceptions. Some start in September, some start in January, but generally we start in July. And in any case, it's not a standard calendar year. So in that case, we might want to see our months based on our, we would maybe want to see amounts for the months based on our fiscal year pattern rather than our calendar year pattern. So on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the account number. I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit trending and go to fiscal amounts. And in fiscal amounts, I'm going to say group by the account number. So for each account number, transform my GL dates to, and if I click on here, I can say the current period is fiscal period 1, let's say, and the current fiscal year is CCYY, which is my parameter up here. So it's for that fiscal year. And the current company is, again, my parameter up at the top, the fiscal company up here. Okay. And click OK. And we're going to roll up the sum of the amounts. So this is per GL account. I want to see what, and the fiscal amounts are here. I can pick various things. So I can see current and a few more periods, current and previous periods, just the current period, current quarter, current year. You can see, you can break it down to really whatever you need, okay, to analyze. I'm going to pick current and next periods, and I'm going to say I'll have 3 periods. And I'm also going to say that I will compare to one previous year. So when I click OK now, what I get is, because this company 150 is sitting with the start year of a start of the 1st of July. So 1st of July 2018. So it's picked up the first 3 months, current July 2018, August 2018, and September 2018. And it's also picked up, because I said one previous year, current July 2017, August, and September 2017. Now, if I go again into the calculations, I can see that really what it's done is it's done this fiscal amount calculation, and it has defined the relative offsets and the dates and all the rest of it according to what I defined in my trending wizard. But again, I can come in here and change it if I want to see something different. Okay, so the trending wizard has set it up for me quickly and easily to get started, and then I can carry on if I want to change further on. I can also, if I see that this is wrong, by the way, on any of the wizards, trending wizards, I can always click the undo button. It will take me back to what I originally had, and I can redo my trending if I like. Okay, so if we make a mistake the first time, you can just go and fix it very quickly and easily. Okay, so that is the fiscal amounts. The month trend, I won't spend too much time on this one. It's really the same thing as the day trend. The difference is that we're doing it by month, not by day. So month trend, show month columns for the GL date and roll up the amount, for example. And if I click OK, it's going to show me for years 2017 in this case, January, February, March, April to December. You can put it. Once you've got all this information, by the way, here, it's very simple to go and present it in Excel, Pro Reports, dashboards, whatever. I'll just present in Excel at this stage, this particular one. And from here, of course, I have the option, apart from anything else, of picking it all up. I'm just going to, I'm picking it all up. And where is my button? And insert, for example, a chart. And it will give you some ideas here of how the chart will look if you go to picking up a chart. Of course, this is not the trending wizard. This is just standard reports now as well. So if I just click OK here I get a waterfall chart, and I can go and change the title and make it all pretty and, the way that we would usually do it. So it's very simple then to convert the information that I've got from my wizard over here, from the trending wizard, into a nice looking presentation that can work for us. Okay. That's the month trending. Let's have a look at this organized dates. This is, I think you're getting the idea. This is a variation on the theme. If I run the report here and I click on the account number, again, right click trending and go to organized dates here. For each account number, I can again pick whether I use today's date as the control date or a date from the control panel or a grid column date. I'll use a control panel date, and I will use the GL date from the details. So for each account between that date and that date, roll up the amount. And here in the date organization, I can say, how do I want to? Do I want to roll it by the month, or do I want to roll it by quarters, or inception to date, or how would I like to do it? So I'm going to do, let's go last month, for example, and we'll say true. And I will compare again to previous year and click OK. So it has defaulted. You see, it's created me a reference date parameter because I said use the control panel date. And it's defaulted to today. I know that there isn't much data in this 2024, so I'm going to change the date back to 2017 and run it again. And there we see we've got October, November, December 2017 and October, November, December 2016. So that's another thing that you can do, and this is all based on the GL date. Well, in this case, the GL date, it could be any date. I'm showing you data that's coming from the general ledger, and I've showed you data that's coming from the customer ledger. But any of these trending calculations can be used on any of the data. So it could be inventory data, it could be real estate data, it could be procurement data, it could be sales orders, it could be manufacturing information. It doesn't matter where the information is coming from. You can use the wizard across all the information in JD Edwards and even external. PS Watch tomorrow, even external data to get the trends and see get more insights into your information using the trending. Let's take a look at this rank top 10. This is a really nice one. I think it's really handy, especially when you're working with customers or even products. You could be ranking your top 10 products by number of units, for example. Again, I'm looking at the customers because I'm quite boring, but, could use it for a lot of things. Top 10 work order cost by cost. Top 10 assets by the amount of the maintenance cost per asset. All sorts of information you could look at. But let's take a look at this again. I'm highlighted the customer and I'm going trending. Rank the top 10. Notice there's also a bottom 10. I'm not going to do that. It's really the same as top 10, just the other way around. I think everyone will understand that. And notice here, even though it's called top 10, it's actually top anything. It could be top 9, 8, 7, and you could make it any number you like. I'm going to make it 15 just for argument's sake. Okay? So rank the top 15 customers based on the sum of the open amount. And if I click OK, ta-da! That's what I get. The top 10 customers based on the sum of the open amount. Now, you will notice one of the questions might be, how does it limit just to 15 of them? Well, if I go into the calculations, let's see what it actually did. So the first thing it did was it created a group summary, and it said, group by customer and summarize in the sum of the open amount. So that then brought, I'll just bring that back onto the onto our screen to show you. So I'm going to display it because it's now not displayed, it's hidden. I'm going to show that column. And once it had the amount, open amount, the total open amount by customer, it did this ranking calculation, which said, rank the group summary. That's what gave it its number from 1, the top one, to however many it was. And I'm going to show that one because that's very interesting to see. And those are the two main ones. It also gave us it padded. It was this padding just so that it could concatenate the the customer to rank. Okay, so I'm going to save and close here and we'll have a look. So first of all, notice on the group summary, if I open this up, I see that the total for Creekside Warehouse is 17,059,795.23, and the group summary has taken that total and put it onto every line. So that's how it can work on each line. It's also ranked that one number 1. See? And the ranking, it has included a filter here saying less than or equal to 15 because I said do 15. If I change that back to 10, for example, I would see just the 10. So that's how it has done this ranking. Can you imagine if you have to actually do this this trending manually? It can take some time. With the Trending Wizard, it's quick, it's easy, it's a few fields to fill in, and it creates all the calculations for you. Just a note here again, don't forget about the presentation layer. So once you've got this, your ranked customers, for example, you can display them any way you like. So you can display them using Excel. I'm using the Excel layer. You could use Pro Reports. You could put it on a dashboard showing the top 10 customers. You could have a dashboard that has a particular graph on it, for example. One of the things here, just to note, is that it always gives us a grand total, and that really makes our graph look funny. If I just go back here and just get rid of the totals here, you'll see that the graph looks much better. Let it just find its way. There we go. Okay. So it's now looking a lot better. Okay, so that is the top 10, and by extension, the bottom 10, bottom or whatever number you like. The last one I'm going to show you is basically the same as the month trend and the day trend. It's a year trend. And if I run this report here and I right-click on the customer and I say trending, year trend. So for each customer, show years for columns, due date again, for example, and let's go from 2016 to 2018 in this case, and roll up the sum of the open amount. Okay. And there it's created as 3 columns, 1 for each of those years. Again, in the design, we can see what it's done. It said, here's 2018, 2017, 2016. These years are not dynamic. If we want to make them dynamic, we would have to come in here and change it. So we might add a parameter to put in the ending year, for example, and build our conditionals accordingly using that parameter. So, but yeah, still you can build a quick year trend report here. That concludes what I want to show you about trending. I hope that it's given you some ideas, sparked some interest in developing further reports in a more meaningful, more insightful reports within ReportsNow.